Hello, everyone. Today is our first panel of 2026. I can believe we are now in a new year and we survived many environmental changing. We have been affecting for all the sin that we have done against our mother nature. And today is a special panel because we bring a team of professional experts from the Washington State Department of Nature's Resources who are going to tell us what the division they work, what is the work that they're doing, and how we can be prepared for those weather emergencies changing that we experience in winter and summer. And I believe the way that is everything changing, we are going to hear more about flood, wildfire, and especially for our community, we are not prepared. And it's my pleasure to welcome the team, and I'm going to ask everybody to join the panel. Thank you. And we are going to start, with each of you, and I'm going to ask our panelists to introduce and telling who you are, what is your position and your division, and what is the mission of the division. And we are going to start, I'm going to start with what he's next to me in this screen. And Matthew, you are the first one.
Yeah, good afternoon, everyone. My name is Matthew Deere. I am a wildfire meteorologist, so mostly forecasting weather. For this panel, I want to talk a lot about smoke and air quality and keeping ourselves safe. Because even if there is a fire 50, 100, 1,000 miles away, we can still get air quality impacts from that. And there's a lot of really good resources out there. So really excited to be here today. And thank you for having me and the rest of the team.
Thank you, Matthew. Hi, Jerry. You are the next.
Great. Buenas tardes. Hello. Mi nombre es Jerry Rivero. I am the director of the Office of Equity, Environmental Justice, and Civil Rights here at the Department of Natural Resources. I come to the organization with a background in community planning, community organizing, around environmental justice, food justice, and equity. And I come to the team and I come to the department with the state level approach of how we implement and how we work to integrate environmental justice into the Department of Natural Resources in order to serve communities, in order to partner with communities, as we aim for equitable goals, understanding, as you mentioned at the beginning, right, the risks of climate change. And we know that the communities that are most impacted are overburdened and vulnerable communities by these changes. So our work is to help integrate the work around environmental justice here at DNR. And we'll talk more to this, but excited to be here. Thank you for the opportunity.
Yes, we are excited to have each of you here. And also, this is a radio that is for everyone. And you are bilingual, Spanish, Arabic. Feel free to speak in both languages because, this is the beautiful of the media. You can send your message first in one language and do in the other, okay? We are innovating in this and like many other people, to get the communication. And Will, it's nice to see you again and happy that you are here with us. And thank you for facilitating this wonderful panel.
Yeah, thank you for having us all. My name is Will Rubin. I'm the communications manager for the Forest Resilience and Forest Practices divisions at the Department of Natural Resources. And what that really means is I work with everybody else on the screen here from DNR and the scientists working on a lot of these programs, on a lot of efforts to help keep communities safer and forests healthier and ecosystems stronger, to get the message out about the work that the agency is doing, whether it's analyzing landscapes or implementing projects on the ground, working with landowners, making resources available to help them harden their homes, coordinating with other agencies to get information about smoke out to public health organizations. And so I couldn't do any of that without the people here on this call, or without the platforms like this radio panel. So thank you again for having us all.
You're welcome. And this is why we are excited to having you, because I believe if there is a community that is misinformed, are Latinx, knowing the aspect that we are not rely about what happened, but sometimes because first the language barrier, and second because the information doesn't get through us. And I wanted to tell you that this interview will be we are going to doing in Spanish after, double everything in Spanish, that we can have it those in our webpage after we finish this interview. And thank you. Charlie.
Hi, thanks for having us. I'm really excited to chat and share some of the information about what we do. My name is Charlie Landsman. I'm a community resilience coordinator with DNR. I'm one of 8 of us around the state, and so we all have different territories, and my territory is on the southern side of the state, from Skamania County all the way over to Asotin County. So luckily there's folks in my position all across the state, but I'm not the individual who covers necessarily the word. So it'd be great to meet some of the others, depending on where listeners are from. One of our big roles is to work to reduce the risk of wildfire to lives and property. And so we do that on really 2 different scales. On the individual scale, we work with homeowners and advise individuals on steps that they can take to make themselves safer and protect their property. But we also then work on the community scale, and that community scale is really variable. It's sometimes small neighborhoods, it's sometimes entire counties, it's sometimes entire regions. So we have a number of different programs and approaches depending on the scale that we're working, that we'll get a little bit more into. But really our overall goal is figure out what we can do before a fire to prepare for it, to make sure that we're as safe as possible and our assets, our property is as safe as possible when that wildfire hits.
Thank you so much. Very important. And last but not less important, and our queen today, Ashley.
Oh, thank you. Hi, everyone. My name is Ashley Blazina Cooper. Very happy to be here. She, her pronouns. I work in the Forest Resilience Division as our Environmental Justice and Western Washington Forest Health Planner. And the Forest Resilience Division its motto is really all lands, all hands. And so our work spans across all land ownership, so tribal, private, federal, state, county, municipal, what have you. We're really looking at what are those larger forest health needs, concerns, thinking about it from the ecological standpoint, but then also thinking about it from the cultural, social standpoints as well. And so really thinking about what are the different definitions of forest resilience that encapsulate a given watershed or area? And how are we making sure that we're really planning and thinking about what are those different needs? What are the needs that maybe haven't been historically heard or at the table? That's especially for my work, thinking about environmental justice and how are we really implementing and including all of the necessary definitions of forest resilience and needs that we need to take. So I work on the science and planning team, but our division also includes programs like prescribed fire, as well as the post-fire recovery program. And so when Dr. Ponceon, when you were talking about the flooding, that's something that we think about a lot. And that program has really been focusing on is where are those areas that had wildfires this past fire season and where are the areas now that really need that additional help. And so one of the things we're doing as a planning team is thinking about how can we do pre-fire planning to make sure that post-fire recovery is a lot more smooth and a lot less detrimental, devastating for communities than it could be. So really excited to be here and be with everyone on this panel. Thank you again for inviting us.
Yeah, thank you so much. And now, I'm going to ask Omar to introduce our team. We shall ask a question that have been sent in by our community, but there are people that is also, connecting directly and they can ask questions. And then if we can start first with our panelists that are going to ask the question. I want yourself to introduce, and why we don't start with Omar. We are not listen to you, Omar.
Oh, there you go. You guys need to fire the communication one. So, gracias, doctora. Thank you so much for everyone to be here. We're so excited. Y para nuestra comunidad, como pueden ver, tenemos un grandioso panel de especialistas, especialmente en lo que estamos platicando, ¿verdad? En todo esto que desafortunadamente estamos pasando aquí en el estado de Washington, pero todos ellos están aquí para poder contestar nuestras preguntas y de igual manera saber en dónde podemos accesar a recursos. So I'm going to start with the question in Spanish, and I'm going to do it in English later to our some of our audience can look it up. So, and one of the most common questions that it comes to our mind, it's like, ¿cuáles son los recursos disponibles para la seguridad y preparación ante los incendios forestales dentro de nuestra comunidad latina? So, and the question is, what are the resources available with the fire safety preparedness for the Latinx community? So, and I think Charlie is the one who's the most appropriate to answer my question.
Yeah, I can give it a shot and see if other folks have some additional information. So one of the programs that we have specifically that benefits folks is the Wildfire Ready Neighbors program. Is a program that anybody across the state of Washington can sign up for. We have the website in both English and Spanish, and what you can do is you can go on and start to make your own action plan for what you want to do around your property. And so one thing that we really emphasize is oftentimes the small things around your property are actually the biggest risk factors. So things like pine needles in a gutter, or a doormat right up against a wood door on a wood deck, or that box of recycling that you place right next to the home that you're planning on getting rid of. But if embers get into there, they can cause an ignition, and then they can lead to that fire carrying to the structure itself. And so on this website, you can sign up for basically a plan where you can go through, you can pick and choose whichever aspects are most relevant to you, and you can make your own plan to then follow through with completing those actions. And it's a really great way for you to get a start into this. It's a way for you to start thinking about it from the same perspective we do. And from there, especially in counties that were identified in our 10-year wildfire plan, we have actually made it so that we have folks who are available to come out to your property and then go through that with you. And so if you sign up on wildfireready.com, we can send somebody out to your property. In most counties, we have the ability to do that in either English or Spanish, and we can basically have a one-on-one opportunity to meet with you and look at the specific concerns for you. Through that, we've done that by partnering with a lot of great organizations like Latino Community Fund, CAFE, which is the Communities for the Advancement of Family Education. And we work regularly with local partners to make sure that we can provide this service. So as a starting point for individuals, you can reach out to DNR, you can go onto Wildfire Ready Neighbors, but also don't pass up those local organizations, whether it's your conservation district or fire district or Office of Emergency Management, or another nonprofit that might not have their primary focus be wildfire. They still oftentimes have some resources to help with whatever your concerns are.
Thank you, Charlie. And let me do it in Spanish, the more essential. Y bueno, la pregunta fue dónde podríamos encontrar recursos como comunidad latina. Y lo más importante que dijo es que vayamos a la website, que es Wildfire DNR Washington Government. And, ahí vamos a encontrar información en español y en inglés, y lo más importante es que ellos pueden mandar una persona a tu local, a tu vivienda, para determinar qué riesgo tú puedes tener de que cuando haya un incendio te pueda afectar. Charlie dijo que a veces las cosas que tenemos cerca de la casa es lo que nos va a dar incendio. And also I wanted to tell him, for all the panel, you know, I wanted to tell you that we are working with the Department of Ecology, with Mosi and Yakima, in a program to reduce, you know, the wildfire in the region. And exactly what you say in the community, in the Latinx community, you are going to hear that, and maybe you are aware, is that many people say that there is no trash or recycle services, because either in Mosi, you know, that is a very small farm worker, desertic, high pollutants there, is one of the 5 in the list, you know, or priority. The Latino didn't know that they are actually a trash, you know, services there, because doesn't go to them, or because they are not connecting with people. And another complaint from the community was that there are a lot of dry leaf, and how they can take care about that, you know. And if you have any input, you know, about for people that living in the rural areas and they have a, you know, a farm that accumulate a lot of leaf and they don't know how to do it, who to call or who to do, that will be great.
So I think there's the biggest and most important aspect of when you have either trash or recycling or leaves or other vegetation is just make sure that you're moving it away from your home. It's going to vary a lot from location to location of who actually has the ability to come and help clean that up from your property. But we look at defensible space around a structure in zones, and the first one is 5 feet. And even not having vegetation within the first 5 feet or other flammable debris within the first 5 feet around your home is going to significantly reduce the likelihood of having an ignition to that structure. So while it might not solve the entire problem of getting rid of all that, just moving it away from the home is going to be significantly safer.
Thank you. Voy a decirlo en español. Entonces les preguntamos a Charlie que muchas veces el problema es que la basura o los recycles se acumulan, las hojas secas cerca de la casa. Lo más importante es moverla por lo menos a 5 pies de la casa, y que parece mentira que con esa dirección se pueden evitar muchas cosas. Y realmente que es sorprendente cuando hay incendios naturales en la comunidad. Lo vimos en California, que habían casas que se destruían completamente y en medio del incendio habían casas que quedaron bien. Y yo creo que parte de eso es que mantenían limpio, o que había agua alrededor, o que formaban como una separación, ¿verdad?, de donde se podía llegar eso. Y creo que con esas indicaciones para nuestra comunidad está bien. I wanted to invite other members of the team. If you have a additional input or additional message regarding the first question.
I'll share one additional piece. So this is Ashley again. One thing I wanted to share is that we have Dr. Ponce Gonzalez shared that we have the DNR website. It can be translated into Spanish on the whole, but there's many resources that are downloadable PDFs, and we have a Spanish resources page on the DNR website, and a lot of those are related to wildfire preparedness. I think one of the best resources is the fire resilient plants. That is a great resource for thinking beyond the 5 feet around a home. As Charlie shared, the 5 feet area, thinking about removing all flammable materials is really key, but thinking about what is in that expanded 5 to 30 foot zone and really picking plants that are more fire resilient can really help with the resiliency of your home and residence as well. And so that's a really great resource that was produced a few years ago, and that resource is available completely in Spanish with different hardiness zones and planting planting best tips. So it is really a great resource.
Thank you, Ashley. Entonces, para decir lo que dijo Ashley, para toda la comunidad que habla español, quiero que sepan que nuestra webpage, ¿verdad?, la que pusimos ahorita, que es de dnr.wa.gov, ustedes pueden ir ahí y van a encontrar mucha información en español. Lo más importante es aquella donde dice la forestación resiliente, donde ustedes van a ver cómo pueden aislar todos esos componentes que son inflamables y que pueden, aquí como lo ve, gracias Omar lo está poniendo y miramos todos los recursos que tenemos, que debemos de alejar y cómo vamos a prevenir y cómo defendernos, pues, aunque no hay mucha defensa cuando viene un desastre natural como es un incendio natural o todos estos desagües, ¿verdad? Pero muchas gracias, Ashley. We are very proud to have this multidisciplinary team of professional people. And also, I wanted to thank you for your services, because if we don't have a department in the state like your department, it's a lot of effort. We have a meteorologist, we have somebody like Jerry that we are going to hear about him. Sometimes we don't connect it about inequity, environment, safety food, and resources. But all of this is interconnected, and this is the right way, to make people prevent death. I feel sorry, like I believe was, and maybe you are aware, like 2 years ago, somebody died because he was in the RP and he put in a heating. And he died, and I believe 2 children died. That was in Skye, I believe, exactly like Mount Vermont. And it's not in your area, Charlie, but for sure this happened in all area. And this is the thing that we wanted to prevent, to bring experts like you. If there is no other comment from the rest of the panel, I wanted to invite our second staff to ask the question that we gathered from our community.
Yes. Hello, everyone. Good afternoon. My name is Antonio. Thank you all for being here today. My question that I have for you all was specifically towards wildfires, but I honestly think what we've mentioned earlier about the floods as well, it could apply, or just any natural disaster in general. I'll say it in Spanish first, and then after that, I'll say it in English. La pregunta es, ¿cuáles son algunas de las disparidades o desigualdades que observan cuando se trata de los incendios forestales y su impacto en las comunidades? So in English, what are some disparities, or maybe better yet, inequities you see when it comes to wildfires or natural disasters and their impact on different communities?
Yeah, I'll go ahead and start with that. Thanks for the question, Antonio. Again, I'm Matthew Deere. I'm a meteorologist, so I'm going to focus mostly on smoke impacts, but this applies to wildfires and floods as well. First, I did notice in the comments there that there was a question about folks with pregnant women and children and older adults. This all applies to them as well, and you just have to take more time to prepare. You have to understand the hazards that can impact you. So for wildfire, do you live in an area that has seen wildfires recently? Have you ever been under an evacuation level for wildfires? Were you ready for that? If a level 3 evacuation, a go now notice, was coming down in the next week or so, could you get everything you need, like documents, personal effects, things that you would want to save? Can you get that out? Can you escape quickly? For wildfire smoke, especially, we see a lot of inequities in just the distribution of it. The smoke tends to settle in the mountain valleys, across the plains of eastern Washington, and it's hard to get out of there. So are you ready to deal with smoke? Do you know what the health impacts of smoke are? I have a couple of good sites that I'll be sharing after I close here. I don't need to take up the time typing while I do this, but it's all about understanding the threats and being just prepared to react to them. Everyone has their community, their family to lean on, and that's another important piece. So really working together and just having that plan, regardless of what the actual hazard is very important.
I'd like to chime in on this as well. Can y'all hear me? Can you hear me okay?
Yes.
No sé si hacerlo en español o en inglés. I'm gonna try to stay in one lane here. estamos hablando de equidad. La pregunta fue de equidad y cómo es que las comunidades impactadas, cómo es que los impactos de los cambios climáticos afectan a las comunidades. Es muy importante saber que al nivel estatal se está haciendo un movimiento, ya se pasó la ley conocida como el HEAL Act. Les recomiendo que hagan una búsqueda por Google, por Internet, investiguen lo del HEAL Act. HEAL Act fue una ley que pasó en el 2022, entonces tenemos muy poco implementando esto, pero habla de cómo integrar la justicia ambiental y estos cambios climáticos para apoyar a las comunidades que son más afectadas. Sabemos que en este tema de equidad, desafortunadamente las comunidades sufren a otros niveles, ¿no? Por las cosas que vivimos en nuestras comunidades. Entonces, esta ley trata de llegar a un nivel con equidad, y eso incluye, parte de eso incluye las inversiones que hace el departamento. La ley dice el 40% de las inversiones, ya sean becas, en inversiones, en programas, en proyectos, sean integrados a las comunidades más necesitadas, ¿no? Entonces, les recomiendo que busquen esto. Es una ley nueva, es una ley a nivel nacional muy importante. Creo que el Estado de Washington pone el ejemplo para el resto del país, sino del mundo. Entonces, es muy recién, pero lo estamos implementando y vamos aprendiendo y vamos también, a mí me encanta estar aquí con ustedes porque parte de esto incluye y habla de la participación de la comunidad. Entonces, eso es muy importante, tener la voz de la comunidad presente para saber dónde es que nosotros los podemos ayudar a ustedes también, ¿no? en nuestros proyectos y en nuestro trabajo. Sorry for the non-Spanish speakers, but I gave a quick rundown on the HEAL Act. The HEAL Act and what it does. It's a monumental environmental justice push at the state level that is looking to. The question was around equity, right? How does this look for wildfire? But using environmental justice and the HEAL Act is kind of the stepping point to reach those equitable goals that we're trying to establish at the department. Using the HEAL Act is kind of the thing that pushes us forward to continue this work. I also talked about the investments and what the HEAL Act requires to invest in overburdened and vulnerable populations. And the other thing that I talked about is engaging folks, is getting folks, as in this space, getting folks to know what we do, to connect to resources such as these that we're posting, that we're talking about. And then furthermore, to engage, to get input from community as to what it is that we can do to help improve the resources that we are, obligated to by the HEAL Act to integrate into communities.
Thank you, Jerry. Thank you y muchas gracias por esa información tan importante. I also wanted to thank you, Matthew, and wanted to translate a little bit the more essential points that Matthew telling us about que cuando vivimos en un área de que hay incendios o nos movemos a un lugar nuevo, es importante saber si ha habido incendios ahí, si la gente ha evacuado, dónde acudir, si estamos preparados para la huida, si sabemos cuáles son las rutas de salida, porque todas esas cosas nos van a ayudar a sobrevivir los incendios forestales. Parece que fueran cosas pequeñas, pero en realidad eso puede salvar. Él mencionó que la mayoría de los incendios ocurren en lugares lejanos, ¿verdad? En las montañas, donde es bien difícil salir. Y para nosotros que trabajamos en esos lugares sabemos que no hay transportación pública. Por eso estar conectado e informado es muy importante. I wanted to thank you to everybody that is listening. Also, I wanted to telling Jerry and the team that we are part of the HEAL Act. We're working with front and center, and we are very honored, and we are, one of the recipients of the grant that are working for environmental justice and prevention of the fire while we're working in reforestation and empower community to advocate for the rights, to be informed, to have a translation, and to have a thing like this thing that you have. And I want also to thank you to our partner from and Center for the wonderful job they doing. I really enjoy to be part of that, everybody of us, and we are proud to be in Washington State. I wanted to say that we are going to have our first educational message, and we are going to continue.
Respira hondo. ¿Se siente limpio? Tal vez no tanto. En muchas de nuestras ciudades el aire está muy contaminado. En la casa y en la calle hay partículas invisibles. No se ven, pero sí se sienten. No solo afectan al planeta, también afectan nuestra salud. Más ataques de asma, tos y enfermedades propias. Los niños y las personas mayores son los que más sufren. Pequeños cambios son gran impacto. Cuidar el aire es cuidarnos a nosotros. ¿Te unes?
Respiramos más de 20,000 veces al día, pero sabemos qué es lo que estamos respirando.
La contaminación del aire no siempre se ve, pero se siente en el pecho, en la garganta y en la salud de los que más amamos.
Por eso es vital medir la calidad del aire.
Saber si el ambiente que nos rodea es seguro o está lleno de partículas que nos dañan los pulmones.
Con sensores como este podemos ver en tiempo real lo que antes era invisible.
Podemos tomar decisiones, protegernos y exigir cambios. Medir el aire es conciencia ciudadana.
Eso es justicia ambiental.
Yes, thank you, Omar. I love our, message because they are so good because they are for real people. It's our community and in the language that they understand, and we try to do in both languages. Okay, I wanted to know, Omar, if we have a question from the chat, from the people that is listening, if you wanted to,
Yeah,
yes, we always wanted to engage our community, and I noticed that Matthew read one of those questions, and let's see if we can continue answer the question that our audience have.
Yeah, absolutely, doctora. Thank you. So we have a few comments. So right here, Maria Luli, she says, buenas tardes, doctora Ponce. Mis mejores deseos para todos. Gracias. Here we have Adriana Monroy. It says, buenas tardes for everybody. Maricruz Morales nos dice, hello, thank you all for being here and taking the time to share with our community. Veronica says, good afternoon. Also, she says, thank you, doctora. We have like a couple applause done here. Sonia says, excellent information. Thank you, Community Health Worker Coalition for Migrants and Refugees. So those are the saludos que tenemos. So we're going to pass for the few questions that we have now. First, the one who was like Charlie mentioned, it comes from Maricruz Morales, right? It says, what advice can you give to health families, especially those with a pregnant woman, children, or older adults in order to prepare with the wildfire season?
Yeah, that's a great question, and I can start off and then once again pass it over to some other folks, especially Matt, for some information about smoke. But one of the first things that I would recommend for families, especially folks who are more vulnerable and where it might take a little bit more time to evacuate during a wildfire, is sign up for emergency alerts through your local Office of Emergency Management. And so if you just go online and look up your county Office of Emergency Management, they're going to have some sort of notification system, and that's going to be the fastest and generally the system that's used to notify people that they need to evacuate. And for women or children who might not be able to transport themselves, or older adults who might have other health issues, it's really important to have that evacuation plan in place. Have a go bag ready to go, packed for every member of the family, so that if there is a rapidly moving wildfire, you can just grab it and get out of there. For children, if they're home alone and might not have a way to self-evacuate, make sure that you're talking with neighbors. Maybe they can safely grab, or a family friend who might be near it can safely grab those kids and help them evacuate. And then you can also, on many of those county systems, actually record who is at that house. So you can put in a note that there's somebody who might not be mobile or might be in a wheelchair and need special equipment to evacuate them. That can all help during that evacuation process because the Office of Emergency Management can see that information. The other thing is making sure that you know all the routes in and out of your community. The avenue you drive to get to work or to get to school or to the grocery store, that avenue might be blocked off during a wildfire. And so really, I'd say the most important thing for these folks with individual needs is make sure that you've done this prep work for an evacuation and you can safely evacuate as quickly as possible.
Gracias, Charlie. Y entonces lo voy a decir en español. Entonces, una de las cosas más importantes que se debe tener en cuenta es que debemos estar informados y por favor deberían de registrarse en las en nuestra webpage, donde ustedes pueden tener las informaciones en caso de un incendio y pueden estar recibiendo los updating. También hay que pensar que a veces las personas que viven con niños no tal vez tienen la capacidad de evacuar con los niños, pues entonces sería bueno de garantizar que los vecinos, si pueden pedir ayuda a los vecinos o a algunas otras personas para que los niños sean evacuados. También es importante pensar en las personas, ¿verdad?, que tienen poca movilidad, a qué hacer en el momento para movilizar a esas personas, ¿verdad? Y lo más importante es mantenerse informado. Thank you so much.
Yeah, I want to jump back in here because that educational video was fantastic. We need to get in touch with you, Dr. Ponce Gonzalez, because we have a bunch of pamphlets, like handouts and fridge magnets that go into explaining, hey, what do these air quality levels mean? Mm-hmm. And I'm going to put a link right now where you can go check what the air quality is nearest to you. And what one thing that we're doing at DNR right now is there is a lot of air quality monitoring across the state, but there's a lot of communities, especially small communities. We're focusing on communities less than 1,000 people that do not have any air quality monitors within 10 miles of them. So we have installed 20 new air quality monitors just in the last year, specifically focused on small communities across the state, both sides of the state. And all that information is on the map, which is a link that I just shared in the studio chat here, which we'll get out to the wider audience. But the thing with that is when there is a really bad wildfire, when you are just choking on smoke, there is a program that goes out and they actually forecast smoke for the local areas. And you can see that map on the screen now. If there was a really bad wildfire, there'd be a big box on that map, and you can click into that box to get a forecast. The forecast is in English. It is also translated into Spanish by an actual human that is actually going in and making sure that, hey, we're hitting all that, the context and the important parts that might get lost in just an internet translation. It's translated really, really well and really well thought out. So there's a lot of good information there, and that's the best place to go. That's where I recommend everyone goes to check your air quality if you are concerned about it.
Thank you, Matthew. I wanted to thank you all the team because you have sent in a lot of links with important information. We are going to make those accessible, and I taking all of them and putting in our resources and in our webpage. Quiero darle las gracias a todo el equipo porque nos están dando link para todos. También quiero explicarles que Matthew nos dijo que para reducir las disparidades, ellos entienden que hay muchas personas que no tienen medidores de la calidad de aire y que ellos han trabajado duro y han dado y distribuido a familias de bajos recursos estos medidores. Matthew, it's very important. Maybe you can telling us how people that is interested to get a measurement, the air quality measurement, can contact or get a one, or how they can apply for that. Is the same web page or is in the map that they can access to that, or this program is ending? That will be nice if you can telling us.
Yeah, so right now, like I mentioned, there is a lot of air quality monitors across the state. And what we're doing is instead of a individual by individual basis, we're really focusing on those. Yeah, where do people live in communities of 500 to 1,000 people? And we think we're on track to get most of those communities covered that aren't covered within the next year or two. We have ongoing funding to continue sending out these sensors. On top of that, we're working with all of the local health jurisdictions across the state to get our informational pamphlets out, but also get them instructed on air quality, because it's not something they've had to do in the past. So your local health jurisdiction, wherever you live, you're covered. They should have good information about dealing with smoke and some resources for folks there. So the first link that I shared to the Washington Smoke blog, there's information on that about how you can actually take measures to improve your indoor air quality during bad times of smoke. A little portable air cleaner is a more expensive option, but you can get low-cost options as simple as a box fan and an air filter that you can buy at the store for $10 to $20. So there's a lot of good options there, and there's instructional videos. We're getting better at it. We recognize, and with your educational videos, like it just speaks to the fact that people understand that air quality does affect their health, and they can take steps to reduce those effects when they notice their air quality getting worse.
Yes, thank you. Entonces, para toda nuestra audiencia, los medidores, hay muchos y se quieren distribuir todos a las comunidades principales donde viven entre 500 a 1,000 personas. Entonces, en esta webpage que compartimos de wildfireready.dnr Washington Government, y en la que está poniendo ahorita Omar, ustedes pueden encontrar información y también contacten a sus representativos locales, que ellos también les pueden dar más información. We are very excited because through this we learning that we can collaborate in many things. Either, most of the community we work are farm workers. And as you know, most of them, they living in this area, very insulated. We have not talking about that, but I know we are going to talking about in very poor housing. Sometimes farm working are putting together like 70 men in one house with maybe one wire that is very old and very easy to get fired. And this is when they connect and, the light for Christmas or they are fires. And we can help you to distribute those in case you need help, or to contacting with the people that shouldn't have. I can think in Giacomo, Escagli, and all the area that need those services, but thank you. Entonces, we have other question, and I believe, Omar.
Yep, we have one from Maricelita, which is basically where they actually answered already. So she was just like asking what we can do for as a community to like be prepared and everything. But also we have another one from Veronica. Dice, gracias por su servicio e información. Mi opinión es que necesitamos informar más a más personas, ya que muchos no saben de estos websites que están dando. Por eso, cuando viene un desastre natural, estamos en pánico y no sabemos qué hacer. So basically what Veronica says, so she's like, thank you so much for the service and the information. On my opinion, it's that we need more to inform our community, because most of them, they didn't know about this website or this resource, because that's why when any natural disaster came, we just get in panic and we didn't know what to do.
Thank you. And then we are going to continue with the question, and I believe now is Matt.
Hi, everybody. Thanks for being on the show. My question might have been answered already in a few different ways, but what steps should families take during a wildfire evacuation? And if there's no more to add to that, where can they get reliable information? Is there anything that you haven't shared already?
I can start. Thank you for the question, Matt. Ashley Wilzina Cooper again. I just wanted to share that thinking about communities, and Vero's last question was where is good information, as Matt was sharing as well. Trying to combine two of those is that there's really amazing efforts that Charlie was sharing with Sasha Mama, Nuestra Casa Cafe, Latino Community Fund, and they've developed these cohorts through Sasha Mama's program called the Climate Innovation Lab, which provides, I think it's a 6-week training that it's all in Spanish, and these are trainings that are done in place in communities at times that are really decided upon and most convenient for community members. So usually in evenings, after work hours, but to train and really understand and become more aware of what are the different dangers around wildfire and how to prepare for them. And these cohorts of trainings have primarily happened in Chelan and Yakima counties, but there's hundreds of individuals who have gone through these trainings and now are experts in their communities and are able to share this knowledge with their neighbors. And many of them have also been trained in how to do assessments around their neighbors' houses to look for what are the things that could potentially catch fire during a wildfire. So as Charlie was sharing those home assessments and thinking about what are some of the things that could be flammable, could be sources of fuel for a wildfire, and helping their neighbors to identify those and take the necessary steps to remove them. And so I just also wanted to highlight as a really amazing partner who we've worked with for several years, and who is really a leader in this space is Latino Community Fund is a huge leader, and I would recommend anyone getting in touch with Latino Community Fund about asking for a training, or if there is an upcoming cohort in a nearby community to develop these skills and awareness and localized community knowledge of how to best prepare in their community with the resources and different fire preparedness needs that they have in whatever part of Washington they live in.
Thank you, Ashley. Then, la pregunta fue dónde podemos encontrar recursos, entrenamientos. Entonces, Ashley said que hay un estudio de cohorte de organizaciones latinas hermanas que también están, que también ellos están haciendo entrenamientos para que las personas sepan cómo prevenir los incendios, cómo y qué hacer en caso de un incendio. Entre ellos tenemos Café, Latino Community Fund, que han trabajado mucho, ¿verdad?, con este departamento y que tienen servicios. Así que hay bastante información y queremos invitarlos a todos a que busquen esta información y que también contacten a las oficinas de Wildfire Ready, de NR Washington Government. we are almost finished, and I believe we are going to need more time to talking with you and learn more from you. It's so exciting. Now we are going to have open question, and I have a one because I believe it's important to talk about that. Is with the and this is affecting the underserved community, particularly people that doesn't speak the English or people that is now persecuted because our stereotype to be Latinx. Um, people is afraid, is afraid to call any government institution to ask for help. Um, we the IC presence, is something that is not helping in our community and is death or life for many vulnerable population, our elderly, people with disability, and children. What message you have for our community that they know that they needed maybe to know how to prepare better for a wildfire, but they are very scared to contact you to have a measurement or air quality or to have information or training. Uh, what did you wanted to tell them? What is the message?
I'd like to start, if I could. Voy a hablar en español. Entiendo este sentimiento, siendo padres mexicanos, inmigrantes. Entiendo la situación, entiendo el temor que hay entre la comunidad y la conexión que nosotros como un gobierno queriendo conectar con la comunidad, entiendo que hay temor. Les digo que nosotros como agencia no pedimos datos, no tienen que dar su nombre completo, puede dar un nombre, puede dar un nombre ficticio. Lo que nosotros estamos aquí para decirles es que seguimos apoyando y queremos seguir apoyando. Por eso es que existen estos programas, estos links que les mandamos, pero en ningún momento se les va a pedir ningún dato personal y no tienen que dar ningún dato personal donde no se sientan ustedes con seguridad. Les decimos nosotros que nosotros estamos aquí para servir al pueblo de Washington y estamos también muy conscientes de esta brecha que se empieza a sentir, ¿no? En cuanto a las conexiones con las comunidades. Esto nos preocupa a nosotros también porque nosotros queremos hacer nuestro papel como sirvientes al público y sabemos que existe eso. Entonces, lo único que puedo decirles es que eso, ¿no? Que les damos nuestros datos, pero en ningún momento nosotros les pedimos los datos propios o personales y no los... hay pólizas a nivel estatal, a nivel de departamentos, donde estamos también nosotros acomodando nuestra manera en que colectamos información. Por ejemplo, en una junta, antes era muy, cuando se hacía una junta comunitaria, era muy común tener la forma donde llenaba uno su nombre, ¿verdad? Ahora se están haciendo otras prácticas diferentes donde nada más pueden poner una palomita o algo indicando que llegó sin recolectar los datos. Entonces, les vuelvo a recalcar, estamos muy, muy atentos a ese problema, a lo que existe con todo lo que está pasando a nivel federal, pero también estamos aquí para apoyarlos y por eso nos gustan este tipo de conversaciones, porque a lo mejor nosotros no tenemos la solución, a lo mejor la solución viene de la comunidad, ¿no? Entonces, estamos muy, muy abiertos a esa conversación, entonces invitamos a la gente del público que también, si hay sugerencias o alguna idea que tengan ellos, que también nos las presenten. Pero estamos aquí siguiendo al pie del cañón, como decía mi papá, para apoyar a la comunidad. I'll do the quick translation. The challenges that we've seen at the federal level with, immigration, ICE, We as a state are committed to uplifting the HEAL Act, uplifting communities that need the work, that need the investments. The challenge that I heard in the question was the fear, right? The fear to connect with any government. I shared with the audience that we're working on policies that we're not collecting sensitive information from folks. We use the example of in prior times, in the before times, maybe we would have a sign-in sheet at a meeting, at a community meeting, and folks would sign in their names. We're changing, at least on our side, when we're going to community meetings, we're using different methods, maybe just a checkbox, no personal information. I know the other HEAL agencies, there are 7 others, are also working on policies around how we're collecting information. Generally, the thought is, and the message that I relayed to folks in Spanish was that we're providing all of these resources as an agency. We're committed to serving all Washingtonians, and that's why we're continuing to share these resources with you all. I also said that we don't have all the answers for this. This is a challenging situation. So also inviting folks in that engagement piece, in that piece for having that back and forth conversation with community to help us, come up with solutions for this. This is a challenge, right? And this is one that we're admittedly saying it is, but here to support everyone and continue with the work.
Thank you, Jerry. I had a question because it was intentional, because I wanted people don't hesitate to contact you or any other organization that work for environmental justice, and not be safe, believing that maybe you are related to somebody that is going to call some people to take families, hice la pregunta intencional porque no quiero que la comunidad que nos está escuchando tenga miedo de llamar, tenga miedo de buscar ayuda, de pedir ayuda cuando están estas catástrofes, por creer que va a pasar otra cosa. Aunque son organizaciones del gobierno, tienen visiones totalmente diferentes, y yo sé que la misión de esta organización es proteger a toda la comunidad, independientemente de su raza, de su origen, de su religión, de la lengua, de las catástrofes naturales, que en nuestro estado pues son los incendios y las inundaciones, ¿verdad? I say, oh my God, it's 5:29, but I wanted to, I believe we have to do another one, but I wanted to thank you to each of you for this wonderful opportunity, and let you the opportunity to close remark or share information. And also Vero say thank you, Dr. Jerry, Charlie, Omar, Mark, Antonio, William, Matthew, and Ashley for the service. Help and information is very interesting. I also wanted to know if we have, it's very difficult for the Latino community now to gather face-to-face, but we still gather in places that we feel is safe. And if we wanted to invite you to come in and talk directly with the community, directly with the farm worker, directly with the people that live in, in the rural area, in area when it's a very poor quality, you can come personal and teaching them about more in detail what we're talking today?
100%.
Gracias. Entonces le invité al panel, ¿verdad? Que nosotros nos seguimos reuniendo en lugares que son seguros, en comunidades seguras, allá en las áreas rurales, y que vamos a tener actividades y queremos verlos y invitarlos a ellos a que les expliquen más a ustedes directamente. Thank you so much, and I don't want it to close. We have asked my team to express our humble honor to have you here, and only to thank you for this wonderful panel.
Yes, I just wanted to say thank you so much. Everything you shared was very insightful, and I know that the community is going to really benefit from this. And if we weren't watching now, I feel like we're going to get a lot of views on this because there's a lot to talk about.
Yeah, exactly. Just how. Oh, go ahead, Omar. Sorry.
No, you go ahead.
Well, I just want to say the same thing as Matt. Thank you for taking the time to be here with us and to share this information that's very valuable for our community. I mean, especially with what we saw with the flooding a little bit ago and going into the summertime, just with wildfires starting up and once it gets hotter. I think that these resources are super valuable. So I'm grateful that y'all were able to share that with our viewers. Thank you.
Yeah, so pretty much the same to add something on the top. So thank you for your flexibility, because also as a part of the communications or part of nonprofit, sometimes we're like kind of like not really sure to reach out to you guys because we're like, oh, probably they don't want to, or they're like pretty busy for this stuff that is happening. So thank you so much for taking the time and join us and be with our community. So it's really, really, really helpful for all of us to feel support by other communities or other ethnicities, if I can say it that way. Yeah, thank you so much.
Will, you wanted to do a close remark?
Sure. I just again, thank you so much for having us. I think this is super helpful. I'm glad it's insightful and these resources are reaching people. I know someone had asked earlier how can these communities find out this sort of information. It's by doing things exactly like this, because hopefully people who see this video, who either are watching now or watch it in the future, see some of these resources that have popped up and can share it with their friends, their family. That's how a lot of this work happens. For example, a lot of the projects, if Charlie's working on a project, he may connect with a landowner who takes it back to their neighborhood, their community, and word spreads. And that's how we build the social license as an agency to do this work and get the support of the communities. One person becomes 2, becomes 4, becomes 8, and so on. And so thank you for what you do and having the show. And I agree, we can probably do a dozen more of these and still have more to talk about. So I suspect this will not be the last time we're seeing each other on this platform, but thank you for this initial opportunity to reach your community.
You're welcome, and thank you to everybody. And we are going to keep in contact with you and invite you every time that a catastrophe coming, and hopefully no, but it's a natural diseases, and we are going to dealing with that sooner. And this is going to be on air, and also you can find this interview on YouTube, StreamYard, Facebook, and our webpage, and we are going to send those links to all of you. Thank you for the battle of our house in the name of Community Health Worker Coalition for Migrant and Refugee, and all migrant and refugee around the state.
Bye.
Thank you. Bye.
Gracias. Buen día. Bye.